Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 185. Today, the 5 key attributes you will need to be a successful property developer in 2025. Let's jump on into this episode. You are going to leave with many nuggets that you can implement yourself and some definite ways of creative thinking. Let's jump on in. Hello, welcome to Property Mastermind Podcast, episode 185. As I said, the key attributes for success in property development for 2025. I'm going to unpack them. But before I do, giving away the book, Property Millionaires Exposed, going to Tony Drimichinsky. Well, that's a tough one, Tony. I hope I got that right. I'm sure I did. Anyway, no Bob today, just me, because we're talking mindset, and that's kind of my wheelhouse. We're talking about what makes you better than others, all of those sorts of things. This is going to be a great episode and really motivating for you. And there will be 5 key takeaways and probably a bonus at the end, I'm thinking, because I've got something else up my sleeve I'd love to share with you. But anyway, let's talk about property development. And it's almost like that internal blueprint. What is it that you're going to need alongside the budget and the money and the town planner stuff and all of that? What is it alongside all of that you're going to need to make you successful in 2025? Let's start with number 1, resilience. Resilience is the big thing. It's the steel frame that holds it all together. So every great development's going to face storms. You're waiting on weather. We actually called in and looked at a site yesterday, and there's been a lot of rain, so it had been delayed, and that's going to happen. So every great development faces storms, and they're unexpected, and sometimes they can cause extra costs and a few challenges. So resilience is your steel frame. It is your way of being able to endure so you can stand up to the storms. So it's about you working on your resilience, you pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, you accepting what is happening. And I have a great, I don't know what you call it, saying, accept or change. If you can't accept it, you have to change it. If you can't change it, you have to accept it. And I think that's a great way to deal with resilience or think about resilience. There are some things that are out of our control. So that development that I'm talking about yesterday, that's a big 17-unit industrial, 17, I'm 16, 14. It was 14. It's got extra on it now, so it makes more money than it did, which is great. But that development has had a few challenges around water just over the recent times. Is it still on point? Is it still working to how it should be? Yes. So when the rain came, we could either accept it or change it. Can we change the weather? So with your development or you moving forward, can you change a situation, your weather? There might be a reason that you aren't taking action, that you're not moving forward. Can you accept that situation or can you change it? Because let me tell you, if it's a situation you can change, then you must. And that is how you build resilience. You either accept, let it go, I can't do anything about this, or you change. And you just decide, and we're going to get to decision making because that's massive, but you just decide what it is how you want something to be and you go make it happen. Now, honestly, Mr. Bob Anderson is Mr. Resilience. He is. I was talking about him with some girlfriends at breakfast on Sunday, property development girlfriends. One's a buyer's agent, one's a property development friend. And we were just talking about the difference between he and I. This is Bob, calm all the time, just, he could be really happy, really sad, crazy stuff going on. It's very level. It's like he has this level of resilience within him, whereas I'm a bit more, I'm excited. Oh no, that's sad. There's a bit more reactive there. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean I don't have resilience. I have massive resilience. It's that I just look at Bob's way of the way he copes with things when they're not potentially going his way, and he shows massive resilience. And I believe it's because, he's been doing this for 40 years, but it's practice. And we need to practice resilience, meaning taking ownership of stuff, look at what's going on, stop. There's the A, the action, and then there's the B, the reaction. Take a breath in the middle and think to yourself, can I change this? If not, I must accept it. Can I accept this? No, I can't, then I must change it. And that is a great way for you to just realising that you can bounce back from setbacks, that things will work out. Something might go wrong. There might be a delay or something might happen. You might not get finance. Something might happen that you're not happy about. But that doesn't mean that you get a win that you don't get a win, a little bit further down the road. So you don't always get lots of knockbacks. You actually have wins as well. We had some great wins yesterday just around property development, around a few things. Went and had a meeting with some very great connections that we have, and they were great wins. The conversations were awesome and things were leveled up and lifted up. And so even though sometimes you're having setbacks, you will always, there's that equilibrium. It will always go the other way as well. So just being resilient. And if you're not resilient, think to yourself, how can I improve my resilience? So I will and can be a property developer. Now, if you're wanting to property develop and you're not doing it, you want to finally get started, do your first duplex, do your first splitter, do your first, townhouse, whatever, something small, and you're giving yourself excuses, have a look at those. Because that's probably your resilience, finding ways to say, hey, no, you can't do this. And if it's something you've been wanting to do, then just do it. Give me a call. We can have a chat about how you can get started. And then we start building that mental toughness. And tough, not everyone likes that word. It's a bit of a masculine word, but we can start building that word, or building your mental toughness, so you actually become more resilient. So the things that in the past may have seemed scary don't. We also have to be careful with resilience around other people putting their measure, their input that doesn't actually support you. So if that's happening for you, then think of a way that you can, maybe it's your partner or a friend or somebody close to you, think of a way that you can not take it on board either. Just kind of listen to them with like your Wonder Woman wrist guards on, where you're just deflecting it back. And if you're a man, you can have Superman wrist guards. But just don't take it on board. Just hear it and go, that's the way you look at things. It's not the way I do. You don't have to necessarily say that, but that's something that you can do for yourself. And the next one is to help you become a better developer, to, the stuff that you're going to need so you do succeed is communication. Communication is key to everything, and we know that, don't we? And just like I said yesterday, we had a fabulous meeting, and that meeting came from a connection from somebody else. We were talking about it on the way home, a super connector. We all know a super connector. So somebody gave us a different connection, and he's actually been sick since then and is no longer with us, but he said he talked about Bob so often that when we reached out to this contact, he basically knew us. And that was good from good communication. So clear communication is just like a well-drafted blueprint. And without it, everyone's guessing. So you need to communicate to other people what it is you want. So if you're wanting to connect with perhaps me, perhaps agents, perhaps people in your family, to let them know that this is something that you want to do, or you're dealing with your builder or your tradies or your sort of your specialists, your architects, your town planners, all of those people. When you're clear about what it is that you want, then they are clear about how they need to help you. So clarity within the communication is so important, and we're always going to have difficult conversations, and I'll probably get to that. Let's just start by the communication that you need to have. And I'm big on personality profiling. So somebody who talks fast, I talk reasonably fast. So Kyle, the accidental developer, if you're listening to this on 2-speed, you probably know when it's me by myself, you've got to pull it back to 1.5. But it's really important that if you're talking to somebody who talks fast, you match their speed. If they talk a lot, you need to listen to them. It's understanding how people want to be communicated to. If they ask a lot of questions, they need a lot of detail. You'd follow them up with an email, with bullet points, with everything you can give them. So understanding the people that you're communicating with and communicate back to them in their style. Remember, the captain, just bullet points, get it done quick. They just want the answer. They want the results. How does this happen? The clown, they want to know how much fun it's going to be. They want to know the long story. They want to hear the stories that go all with it. And they want to tell you their stories and how it's going to happen for them. And then the counsellor, they are considered. They don't want to be pressured for an answer. They don't want to have to make a decision. They want to ask the questions, know that it's going to help everybody. They want to have their time to make the decision, and they'll get back to you. And then the conductor, they're the people that are all about the detail. So they want to know everything. They want an email with bullet points and summaries, and they want all of that information, and they might come back with more questions. So when you're dealing with these people, just kind of stop and think about who you're talking with. And then be transparent and honest. Oh my goodness, it's so important. Honesty is probably, often I have conversations with mentoring students and they might say, well, how would I do that? And I always say, just tell them the truth. Like, that's obvious to me. If you tell people the truth, they will more likely tell you the truth back, and then they know how they can help you or what you need from them. But as I said, with difficult conversations, that can happen sometimes, and that can come, you might get a bad builder. I've got a good friend now, and she's had some problems with a builder, and no matter how she went with that, it just couldn't really get resolved. So it turned out basically that they had to get somebody else in to communicate how that's going to happen, and that builder will, well, who knows, probably be gone. But plenty of difficult conversations were had, but at least by having those conversations, she ticked all the box compliant-wise, which make her process really clear. So yes, difficult conversations aren't always fun, but they are needed to be had. And just learning to be an effective communicator is vital. Very often I make a file note afterward, like I'll record something, and then if I need to re-listen to a conversation to make sure I was clear and got everything I needed to know, I can just listen to it perhaps in the car or something. So there are plenty of ways to improve communication so you hear. And that's the other problem. One mouth, two ears. Use the ratio. Often we are so busy wanting to get what we want out, we don't listen to the response, because as they're responding, we're thinking of our response. So communication is about hearing more than it is about verbalizing. So learn to listen. Take that one on board. Learn to listen. And you will find that your life will change. And that can happen at home too. Just leaving it there, folks. I'll just park that one. That can happen at home as well. Okay, problem solving. So in property development, problems are like locked doors. And so your solving skills need to be the keys that open those. And they will let you move further and faster with momentum. And there will always be common problems. But the best thing you can do is immediately seek a solution and make a decision on how you will move forward. The longer you leave things, the longer you don't make a decision to take an action to move forward, the worse your situation will be. And that could be right at the beginning, from deciding, shall I do a course or shall I not do a course? How do I even get started? What do I even do? And when we look at problem solving, number one for most people is understanding how to find your patch and how to work your patch and how to understand your patch and how to understand finance. Finance is so big it's such a big topic. We have a massive module on it, on how to understand finance and all the creative strategies that go with it. So problem solving comes from you, number one, making decisions and fully understanding what it is that you need to know. And remember, you don't always have to know everything, but you need to, because you'll have your experts that do, but you'll definitely need to have an awareness of some things. But finding your site, you have to know a lot. That, your patch, understanding how to unpack it. I always tell the mentoring students that if something sells in your patch, you need to put your hands on your hips. If something sells in your patch and you didn't know about it, I want to hear you put your hands on your hips and go, how did that happen? Because you need to think of that patch as like it's yours. You own it. You know everything about it. You know what's going on in there. And once you get to that level, the problem solving becomes so much easier. So finding your patch, definitely a problem. Choosing which course, definitely a no-brainer. I'd do ours. Someone sent us a screenshot the other day, actually, where people had asked, I've looked at property development courses, they came up with 5. The first 2 were real, the other 3, one of them is just new on the block and they're not even a property developer. I know that for a fact. And there was a couple of other nobodies. But I just said to Bob, it looks like that person's trying to get in the market. So that's a way they can position themselves by putting them in the same area as us. But not a chance at all. So be really careful too when, with who you pick for your education provider, and have they done what they say they've done, and what have they done. It's very easy to create a book these days with AI. It's very easy to come across as somebody that you're not. So just be very careful when you're choosing what you do, because that is a problem, and you want to solve that problem by making the right choice. But I did get to that, didn't I? I talked about decision making, and just make those decisions faster. Now the next one I'm going to talk about is emotional intelligence. And what does that mean for you? Often emotional intelligence is seen as a soft skill, but it is the foundation of trust. So it's It's the concrete foundation for all of your relationships. It's the strong, the reliable, the essential. It helps you understand the needs and motivations of everyone involved in creating smooth collaborations for better outcomes. And we could look at this like the people in your team, or the people in your family, or the people that you want to support you, or the people that you are, contracting or asking to help you, or, that are supporting you on your journey. You need to understand them. And that it's almost like communication is the word, the speak. But emotional intelligence is understanding them, being empathetic. And that really helps with negotiation, especially, you're a leader in this. This is your development. So emotional intelligence will help with your leadership, will help your leadership skills. And it really will improve team dynamics. So just having that level of connectivity, it's being able to connect with people so they get you. And I tell you, probably connection is one of my best skills. So I connect with people really fast. And that's probably, we were talking about this morning, actually, Bob and I actually went for a walk, and we were talking about personal branding. Like, you are a personal brand. Bob has his own personal brand. I have a personal brand. We all, that's who we are at the core. All of our experiences, what our values are, what are important to us, the era that we were born, what generation we are, X, Y, Z, boomer, whatever. We all have different ideas, and all ideas and ideals, and they all come together that create the personal brand that is you. And so being able to use that to connect with people or understand people. If you're talking to somebody who is a lot older than you, you're generally a lot more respectful. So now that I've said that, you get what I mean. You might talk to a millennial and understand that the era they've been brought up in is a lot more talk and education around inclusivity. So we've all been brought up with different ways. So I'm a Gen Xer, so that comes after the boomers. And so the boomers were brought up in a way of, work hard to get what it is that you want. And I think the Xers are a bit the same. So I'm not sure what my reason for connectivity is. I probably have a few ideas, and maybe it's because I love watching human behaviour, and I actually have studied a bit of it, and then I just like watching the way people interact and understanding what they need in a conversation, really. What do they need from me? I can feel when I have connected with somebody, and I think for me I am quite genuine. And so when I speak with somebody, I am always me. I'm never not me. So you might talk to me on the phone and I was like, yeah, how's it going? Like, that's pretty stock standard. I'm never somebody I'm not. I'm always quite clear about the person I am. And maybe that's one of the things that helps me connect with people. So have a think about what you can do with emotional intelligence that will help you connect with people, how you can empathize better, how you can use emotional intelligence for negotiating, how you can use it for leaderships. And ways that you can grow your emotional intelligence is by stopping, listening, looking, putting on their glasses. The old saying is, walk a mile in my shoes and then judge me. Maybe start interacting with people by feeling like you're wearing their shoes. And that way there will be a more of a synergy. You'll find that your emotional intelligence will grow. And the other part for emotional intelligence is being present. So often, and I found myself doing it this morning, we're having a conversation in the office and there was just two of us here, and I'd emptied the mailbox because no one ever empties the mailbox. And I kid you not, I'd brought in 25 letters, and there are quite a few offices around us, so there were lots of other people's mail, and I never know who's who, and there's all these foreign names, and I'm sort of trying to go through it, and then someone started having a conversation with me, and I'd stop for a wee bit, but then I'd start going back through sorting out this mail and thinking, who's that person and what shop are they in and where are they? And I was kind of there but not there. Now that does not improve emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is improved by being present. There's a saying by, can't remember his name, but it's if you're in the room, be in the room. And that equates to everything that you do. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, have that conversation with somebody. Don't have that conversation and do something else, because you won't connect with them emotionally. You won't connect with them. Now, here's the big one. This is probably the biggest: time management. This is really so big. And it's the scaffolding that keeps everything on track, and without it, the projects fall apart. So, and opportunities slip through the cracks, and you won't meet deadlines, and you won't stay ahead of the game. Now, time management is probably the bigger one for people getting started in property development, because often they want to, usually they're working, they want to work through the online course, they want to start looking for sites, and they haven't stopped beforehand and gone, okay, this is something I really want, but to bring this into my world, I've got to have some time. And unless they are spending that time that they're looking for on the couch watching Netflix or doing nothing in particular, then they have to realize that they've got to manufacture that time, and where does that come from? Now, trust me, anything worth having is going to take effort. And that's probably a really big takeaway. I work with high achievers at all times, people that decide they want something and they go for it. And everybody in our mentoring program is a high achiever. They come to us because they want something, they're going to go for it. Most, 99% of them are working already. Plenty have just had a baby, are having a baby, so it's a couple and mum's having a baby. So they're working, they're having a baby, and there's a realization that we are going to be on that exchanging time for money treadmill for the next 40 years unless we do something about this. And so they decide that property development, well, they've probably gone down the investing in properties line, which happens a lot. Then they realise that they're hamstringed. They can't move forward until the market moves forward, and that's going to take at least another 5, 10, 15 years, whatever that is. So to move forward faster, so they have bigger chunks of money to get the lifestyle that they want, they realise it's property development. It is the best vehicle. Like Bob Anderson says, it is the pinnacle of all property strategies. He just sees it as the best. It's the fastest way to get the most amount of money. You don't have to wait. And over time, you can start keeping those. So you do have the investment properties, and you're getting them at way cheaper than you would. But you've got to find that time, and you've got to commit to it. I've told on another podcast a long time ago about a mentoring couple, Debbie and Stefan, and they had a lack of time, both working full time, had a wee daughter, and they just said, we're just struggling to find the time. And then came that guilt from mum saying, we're going to have to do this on the weekends, and we can't take our small child with us. So she's like super high active, like crazy, gorgeous wee girl. Just got some photos of her at Christmas, actually. So very cute. But I said to them initially, you're going to have to just get somebody to look after her on a Saturday morning for a couple of hours so you can go looking at open homes, so you can research your patch. I kid you not, they did that only once, and they got a site, and that was to go and meet with a real estate agent. But they did it. So that's time management. That's them making a decision about their future that was uncomfortable now, and that can happen. That can happen. It might mean you have to give up something that you're currently doing for a short amount of time until you get underway. You've got to remember, once they did that, they got their time back, because they got a site, believe it or not, pretty quickly. And actually, they text me about just around Christmas in 2024 and said, hey, Hilary, Bob, the usual, can't thank you guys enough. You're amazing. Thank you so much. But just letting you know, we've just bought our next site. So how cool is that? They mastered it. They learned, because at the time they were still, going through the course and becoming more confident with the information to increase their competence to be able to move forward in property development. But they were able to do that by making that one sacrifice, which, as a mum, if you already work and then you're giving away a few hours on a Saturday morning, can come with a huge serving of guilt. Almost like ice cream chocolate sauce. That's like a dollop of guilt, and let's put some sauce on top of that. And I'm not saying dads don't have that either, that I should be spending my time with the family, and instead I just feel bad because I want to help our family this way. So that's something that you need to look at. And I believe that we can all find extra time in our day. There'll be a time that you can stop doing something in particular for a short time or tweak another one. I actually spoke with another mentoring student last week, same thing. Single guy, busy, just so busy in his job and putting it in. But we just carved out spots in his life that he can do what he needs to do. And how cool was that? We were able to put in at this time on a X day of the week, he does something in particular. I said, okay, well, how about when you do that, you do this as well. Do two things. One was pretty mindless and the other one meant he could at least go through the online learnings, to get started. He was like, fabulous idea. And another one for him was hiring a cleaner. Just hire a cleaner and give yourself those 2 hours a week. Remember, this makes massive change to your financial situation later. So I think one of the biggest takeaways that Bob has taught me, that price is what you pay and value is what you get, because we always talk about what we offer as an education provider for property development. We know that we offer massive value, we believe, more than anyone. And so you pay something, but the value is worth so much more. And this is what I was explaining to him. You're going to pay that price for a cleaner, but the value of that time back for him, that couple of hours, was massive. So moving forward, that it's just little tweaks in your time management that you can implement to help you move forward or find time or get that thing that you want. But today we're talking property development. So if you want to go down that road, look at where you're leaking time. Where is your time leaking? It's like a tire in a car with a slow leak. There is just somewhere that you could tidy up. And, it could just be getting out of bed earlier, or it could be absolutely anything outsourcing. But time management is a massive skill that you will master. You've got to remember, once your development's underway, you're looking at probably 4 hours a week, if that. Down, it gets less and less sometimes. So there are times when there's not much at all to do. So that is easily fitted in alongside a working environment and a family. So I know that you can do it if it's something you want. So I'd probably get you to look back, sort of, if you were to imagine you're watching a movie, you're sitting in the movie theatre and it's your life, and you had to critique and say, well, you know what? There's a bit of time over there and there's a bit of time could be had here. Be honest with yourself and think, okay, I could actually get a wee bit more time in my life there. Okay, the next one, networking. Networking, casting the net for opportunities. So your network is like a fishing net, and the wider and stronger it is, the more opportunities that you'll catch. And so you surround yourself with the right people, and you'll always have a lifeline when you need it. So how do you build connections in the industry? Like I said, the meeting we had yesterday was with somebody who is incredibly connected to, honestly, everything. So just such an amazing person. So we were given that connection through somebody else who Bob had worked with for quite a few years, who he'd met that person through all of these relationships had come from another relationship, and they are massive networks of people. So when you build your network by attending anything, like business meetings, there's all sorts of things, not just property events. And property events, fabulous idea. All of them, go to them all. Learn from us, go to all of them to network. That's a fabulous recommendation. But when you go to those and make connections with people, you are casting that net, and you will never know when the right person turns up for you. You know the old saying, when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. And that happens so often. For us yesterday, we were pupils sitting there and a teacher appeared for us, teaching us something new that we didn't know about when it comes to a different way of investing, of investments, etc. So my tip is to network as often as you can, wherever you are. Always connect with people, always connect with everybody, and be really clear on who you are and what you do, because people ask that, what is it that you do? You need to be able to answer that really succinctly. And often for new property developers or people wanting to get into it, they don't know how to say, I'm a property developer, because, in their day job, they're an IT person, or in their day job, they're an engineer, or in their day job, they're something else. But when you are able to be succinct and say, actually, I'm an IT engineer, but I'm doing a bit of property development. When you say that in this country, in Australia and in New Zealand, people are like, hang on, what? You're doing some property development. What are you doing? It's something that everybody is interested. You say the word property and it opens a conversation because everyone knows someone who's renovated, who's invested or developed. And you can have conversations from there. And those conversations, you never know where they go. You never know. In fact, last year I had a conversation with somebody, a business conversation, and I actually didn't like where the conversation went. And so it wasn't to do with that property. It was something else that I do. It was to do with speaking. So I do motivational speaking. And I thought, nah, that person's not for me. But anyway, after that, a few months later, and the reason was I got a bad vibe, actually. My vibe wasn't good. So I was listening to my intuition. So my vibe was not there. And then I ended up joining a different a program, and I met somebody else at an online Zoom meeting. She sent me an email and said, hey, I'd love to chat with you. And I realized that it was the business partner of the other person I'd already spoken to. And I thought, that's interesting. I had a chat with her, and she is awesome. And so that negative networking situation, and it turns out that since then their business is broken up and she's on her own, it was bad juju, so my intuition was 100% correct. But that led to the opportunity for a new networking opportunity. And it just gives me more opportunities and it gives her more opportunities. So you've got to think, you need to be succinct in being, like when you think about networking, and being able to tell people what it is that you do, how you help people, or, what you do. And if you're a developer, I'm into property developing. I'm helping Australia's housing crisis right now. Oh, I'm a housing crisis fixer or whatever. You can say that. People are like, well, hello, you're what? And you can then get into talking about it. I spoke to some past mentoring students, actually. I'm helping them out a wee bit with some other stuff right now. And they were struggling with having a conversation within their workplace because they didn't want their workplace to know that property development was something they were doing. And I was like, hang on a minute. So everyone goes to work on Monday, and the people that did the triathlon say, oh, I did a triathlon, and the people that did their thing, they talk about that. But your hobby, you don't talk about. And I've since got them talking about it, and they just said, wow. It has just opened the door, and it has opened the door of a stream of networking opportunities because it creates a conversation, and that it's like a ripple effect. You drop one stone and you never know where those ripples end up. So you must learn to network. They are the necessary things. So to network, like I said, you've got to find the time to do that. So it involves time management. You need to be emotionally intelligent, meaning you need to listen and be present and understand and be empathetic and recognize people. You need to solve problems, but be decisive. Stop thinking about it. If you want to do it, do it. We have a host of events available. We have free ones. We have a free one on, I think it's 18th of February. Have a look on our website. And we just have so much coming up that you can get started, make a decision and move forward. Oh my goodness, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. We have a housing shortage. Communication, number one, learn to communicate better. Stop, listen, one mouth, two ears. Try that for a scenario. And be resilient. There will be knockbacks. As soon as you get one, you don't give up. You keep moving forward. So you got this. They are attributes for 2025 that I believe will help you move forward faster. If you're keen to have a chat with me about property development, there'll always be a link below here, or head over to our website and just book a clarity call with me to find out if what we offer works for you. And just know, if it doesn't, I usually let you know. I don't say, oh no, buy that instead. I'll be like, no, maybe we're not for you. So I would love to have a chat with you, but I would also love for you to share this podcast, because all of these strategies, whether they work for property development or anything else you want to do, I'll go through them. Resilience, communication, problem solving, emotional intelligence, time management and networking. They work for a lot of business things, don't they? And all of these things can help you be successful in more than one way. So in property development, your personal skills are crucial. And these are the personal skills that you're going to need. They're not just invisible tools. They actually shape a lot of your deals. A lot of your physical deals are shaped by this sort of thing. So when you build these skills, it gives you the opportunity to not only be successful, but build for the rest of Australia, which is what we need. So people, I hope you got something out of this, and I hope that I've inspired you to, one, listen to a few other podcasts, but to also think, 2025 is my year and I'm going to smash it. So I will look forward to catching up with you next week. Be back to Bob and myself. Bye for now.